talk about the most, what I think is most interesting until there's more people. Anybody listening on the playback, disclaimer, my thoughts, commentary, opinion only. I feel like I have like nothing on my lips and I got my makeup on my lips. It doesn't, you know what I mean? Um, I've been going live a lot about this particular topic. It is super interesting to me for a variety of reasons. And Lovely T, she's a great YouTuber. She's been doing YouTube for like 10 years plus. Lovely T TV. She is one of my favorite YouTubers, and she brought up the Janus topic, which she already brought up, I believe, when George Floyd, when all that went down 5, 6 years ago. And personally, I didn't know much about Minnesota, much about St. Paul in Minneapolis. And I knew they were considered twin cities. I had no idea how close they were to each other. And really thinking about all this, the Mississippi River runs in between them. The Mississippi River is a primary river for the largest drainage basin in the United States. I'm a heavy believer in like energy, in elements. I mean, they use metals in certain minerals in electronics because of their conduction of electricity. There is most definitely power. Now, I don't personally like wash my rocks in the moonlight. I'm not saying I would never do that. I'm just saying, like, I totally believe there's a big reason why national parks they don't let lights like you can't shine a light in certain like I think there's things that they know that they don't tell the general public. And of course, if you know anybody like indigenous stories, there's plenty of stories out there people have documented through, verbally that, in my opinion, there's more in our wilderness than they've told us about. And it could possibly be something like skinwalkers, something more spiritual from another dimension. It's just like over our heads. We don't know about it at all. Lovely T brings up Janus is a Roman god. There's no Greek equivalent. For most Roman gods, there's a Greek equivalent. But for this particular one, there is not. And it's like one of the oldest known deities. It's a two-faced man. And it's like one face looking towards the future, one face looking towards the past. And there's a lot of rituals. It symbolizes Janus, the god symbolizes new beginnings, transitions, gates, and ends. So where I'm going with all this, I'm sure a lot of you have heard it. Hi, Dirtbag Juice. How are you doing? Hi, Lucas. How are you? I'm sure I'm not the only person that's like, what is going on with Minnesota? It's just like so many things happening in Minnesota, Minnesota, Minnesota. And I do think that they're like, whether or not it just happened. Like I was a cashier and a waitress for years. You'll be standing around with nothing to do, and then five people are there for you to check out or attend to, like that's just the way it happens. Like people come in like pops. And so I think that's just like natural energy, just the way it flows, and we gravitate towards each other. I think it could be like completely natural occurrence because of things going on there? Or is this planned? Is this a Janus ritual? Janus is one of the oldest deities. There's no Greek equivalent. A lot of Roman gods there are, but for Janus, it's a two-faced man that's facing the future and the past. And this is purely speculative. I don't think that I agree that it was a tragedy, dopamine. I don't think that I know everything. I really don't think that this is 100% for sure what's going on, but it struck me as super interesting. Lovely T, she's a big YouTuber. She does great streams, Lovely T TV. She brought this up years ago when George Floyd died. And it's just really interesting. There's these twin cities side by side across the largest river, I'm sorry, the primary river for the largest drainage basin in our country. I think that probably holds a lot of energy with it. And are they choosing to do or instigate certain things here as some kind of ritual? I think it's completely possible. And I understand if you think this is like batshit crazy, it's probably not the channel for you. After, especially what happened in 2020 and thereafter, I don't put anything past anybody. And I don't know. It's like Occam's razor. I don't know how else to explain what's going on in the cover up of the Jeffrey Epstein files, unless it is that this world is ran by predatory people, that the love of money is the root of all evil. And I'm not saying that every wealthy person is the same. I'm talking about people who are the top like 0.5%, 1%. So Janus is hey, the Dias cast, how are you? Janus is a two-faced Roman. I don't know if he's even considered Roman. He's like first, like one of the first deities. And he symbolizes beginnings, ends, transitions. And often there's just a bunch of rituals that sometimes are performed. And it also he represents a change. I keep bringing her up because I don't want anybody to think that I put this together all on my own, but let's this up. She lives, I'm sorry, I don't know if she lives in St. Paul or Minneapolis. I believe she lives in St. Paul. She lives in one of those two cities, has for a long, long time. And so she was covering George Floyd. She's a very fair YouTuber too. Definitely, I would assume she probably leans to the left, but she is not, she never suffered from Trump derangement syndrome. And like, she's a fair, balanced person, in my opinion. And she brought up how there's a lot of Janus rituals. There's probably a lot of minerals up there in Minnesota too. I would wonder if there isn't some like lithium deposits. I have no idea. I know I could research this, but she brought up there are minerals there. And I think a lot of these things that are happening, money does not equal better. I completely agree, David. And that's part of why the world is ending because the more money gets concentrated into the fewer people's hands, the more it's like this nepotism. It isn't true talent and merit. Elon Musk isn't a genius. He's not, guys. He never, like, I never finished college. I consider myself a smart person. I could never just read some books and call myself an engineer and get government grants to make hundreds and millions of dollars off of building spaceships. He doesn't like they saw how NASA can't do everything. That's the times we're in when billionaire men choose to basically they're not doing it for the good. They have nothing else to do. It's unnatural to have that much money to the point where you want to create a phallic shaped rocket ship and send it off into the air. Oh, hey, Bossy Truthy. Hey, Fendi. Oh, I'm so glad to see you guys here. I don't know how many US citizens are quiet about Trump and Epstein file. Moon Gaming, I don't know exactly what you're saying, but it's like basically, I think most people have woken up, but there's still these diehard Trump supporters. In this case of Renee Good, also exemplify like what it can do to somebody's brain. The more I watch that video, this is my opinion. Everybody's welcome here as long as you're respectful. You're not going to change my mind, and chances are I won't change your mind. But we're all just sitting here talking, trying to figure this shit out together. Okay? I welcome everybody. I'm a centrist, always been a registered independent since the age of 18. At this point, I'm completely disillusioned with all of it. I probably never will vote again. But I think they're just two sides of the same coin. And in my opinion, if you can't handle this, I'm sorry, but just so you know, there's people that have every other possibility of a different opinion than you, and they're out there, and it's always going to be that way. So get over it. I feel like that cop was leaning over. He's literally leaning over. I feel like he pulled out his phone and he started recording because he knew he was going to instigate the situation, make it look like this woman hit him with her car. Her wheels are turned this way. That's why when he incapacitated her, she veered, accelerated. Great example why cops aren't supposed to shoot at moving vehicles because it could hurt somebody else. They could have caught her down the road. It was such a weird situation, and I will say I don't believe she should have been there. I don't believe she should have been blocking the cars in the road the way that she did. I don't believe in agitating being a form of peaceful protest. But at the same time, I don't believe that Renee Good deserved to get shot 3 times in the face, 2 times point blank range. It's undeniable, and we'll find out eventually, maybe. But that first bullet in the windshield didn't necessarily look like the kill shot until a lot of people's opinions, and that's what I said from the very beginning too. I didn't really say it, but I'm like, I think it was probably when she was side by side with him, and he shot her point blank in the face. And if you're okay with that, fine, go about your day and be okay with that. A lot of people aren't okay with that. I don't think she should have been there. I don't think she should have been trying to block law enforcement officers' vehicles. I also don't think her and what she did warranted getting shot at 3 times. The less we stand up for people in these kinds of situations, it's a slippery slope. It's likely to escalate. Musk is a trillionaire, pretty much. Moo said, "Oh yeah, I don't know if I'm a genius, Jason. Honestly, I do get genius IQ. Listen to me. I do get like around like 140, 150. Isn't that technically? No, it's like 170. I'm pretty smart, but I'm also brain damaged. I had IV chelation. I had extremely high mercury, lead, cadmium, a bunch of stuff. I had IV chelation for a few weeks. If you don't know what that is, it's like you get hooked up to a machine where they're just pumping chemicals into you through an IV for hours at a time to chelate metals. It's illegal in the state of Kentucky because if you don't do it right, you'll unalive somebody. And unfortunately, it happened to a little boy here because a nurse didn't do the dosing right. I don't see how you can say that when one side is promoting martial law bigotry towards queer folk, racism, and colonials, the other wants healthcare. The sides are not the same. Doc, you make really good points, but at the end of the day, see how nothing ever really happens, no matter who is in the administration. Besides, I think like what you said is right, but what it boils down to is that the corporations that lobby all politicians. I used to love Tulsi Gabbard. I'm not surprised that she's doing the shit she's doing now. She's not the same Tulsi I fell in love with, that's for sure. It happens to all of them. And like Massey, he seems to be one of the only principled politicians we have. It's not surprising to me at all he's from Kentucky. Kentucky is full of people like Massey. That's what I've been trying to tell you guys. The Kentucky is a great place. For some reason, got a bad rap. I'm not saying there's no racists here, but it's not like full of racists like people think is. Um, but everybody makes typos when they're typing in the chat. SBS, don't be a grammar Nazi. They let out footage of the situation. She's trying to be above the law, and now she got sent to the land in a box. Well, you're free to think that, but what I saw was this guy, literally the top half of his body is leaning over. Watch it. That's why his feet are planted firmly in the ground. He went to the moving vehicle's path on purpose. He literally put himself in harm's way. And it's just really interesting. It shows how they have divided us, and depending on what side you're on, and it's like I'm the only person I've seen say she shouldn't have been there. This could have been avoided, and I don't think she deserved to be shot. Everybody's like so to the left, like she was doing nothing wrong. She just dropped her kid off, and like, obviously that's not the case. Okay, obviously that's not the case. There's video now, like 3, 4 minutes before the incident happened. She was blaring, or somebody was blaring their horn. I believe it was her vehicle, but she was it's just a confusing situation. She had people yelling, it seems like maybe different things at her from different sides of her car. Somebody was right. They did point out there were lights in the pickup truck. I didn't notice that until somebody pointed that out to me and I looked for it. And it wasn't the kind of lights that like when you get pulled over. Okay. And I was raised by a cop. I know what undercover cars are like. I've been in the car with him when he pulled somebody over undercover, and, that there was no lights on the top of the vehicle. That was really, really weird, okay? I understand if she didn't feel like she was being pulled over when there's other ICE officers going around her vehicle and everything is a confusing situation, a great example about how these people are not well trained for this. They're not. They're not. Like, all these things can be true at the same time. Thank you for the high five, Bullet Head. How are you doing? I remember you. She put herself in that position just like he put himself in front of a moving vehicle. You know what I mean? That's so I feel like it's like two wrongs don't make a right. And both sides are like trying to make it take all accountability off of the other person. I think that they were both wrong. I know she was blocking that. Well, people were going around her car. She was trying to impede them as much as possible. People went around her car seconds before. She could have done better. And if I was her, I wouldn't have been there with my car sideways. That doesn't mean I think she deserves to get shot 3 times in the face. That's a nuance. It's like they've dehumanized us. When they dehumanize other people for you, when you look at other people as less than human because of their politics, because of who they choose to sleep with, because of whatever choices they make in their life that have nothing to do with you and don't affect you at all, then it turns into this, where like some cold-blooded murder is possibly construed as justifiable because you just have so much hate in your heart. And I get it. I don't like a lot of the most left-leaning, radicalized people either. Honestly, I don't. I don't agree with the riots that don't think that it's fair for small business owners to have, some of these businesses can never come back from an incident like that. And you're like, you're destroying businesses to try to make a point. You're destroying people's livelihoods. I don't agree with any of that at all. I don't agree with the way that she was perpendicular in the road trying to stop vehicles. It still doesn't mean she deserved to be shot. And I know this is really going to make a lot of people mad, but it's just the way I feel. I think he did it on purpose. I think that cop got his ICE agent got his phone out knowing he was going to start some shit. Now, wait, watch the video again. Watch it. And if you aren't like so brainwashed, you'll see what I'm talking about. The whole upper half of his body. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't really think about my outfit when I did this. He's literally like this. He's literally like this. He's leaning over. He's trying to get hit by the car, in my opinion. Fendi, well, since the world is going to shit, I'm going to go run my credit up and take loans out. Oh, hey, they're like making credit cards 10%. She was running over the law enforcement officer. He put himself in front of her car. He literally walked from one side of the car to the other, putting himself in front of her. He had his phone out. I'm going to keep saying it, you guys. You're not going to change my mind. I'm not going to change yours. But I'm the one that has a YouTube channel that gets really good views on lives compared to my sub count, Pretty proud of that. And if you didn't see, I just feel like something bigger is going on in Minnesota. What the fuck is going on in Minnesota? Lovely TTV. She is from Minnesota. She lives there now. She made videos about Janus, this god, ancient Roman god, even was known before most other deities. It's a two-faced man, one face looking towards the future, one face looking towards the past. And it's often used in rituals, new beginnings, new endings, when peace turns into conflict. And I think there's something going on with this location of Minneapolis, St. Paul. It is pretty unique. I mean, you've got Louisville and like Jeffersonville when it is like Indiana and Louisville, but Jeffersonville isn't as big of a city. You know, it's like these two large cities sitting across from this river that is the primary river for the largest drainage basin, in our country. So I think these people are like satanic, and I use that term loosely. I think whatever they worship, whatever they are aiming for when they do their rituals, it is evil. It is not the good side. Like however you want to call that. I personally don't believe in the devil or Satan. So when I say satanic, I mean they're just fucking evil. And watch the video. The lady backed up and turned towards him. Then why didn't she hit him? Because her wheels were literally like this once she started to go. And that's why when he incapacitated her, she ran. You guys know I'm making sense. Nobody can say anything back. Can one of you guys? I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm going to participate in the chat. Can one of you guys explain to me that believes she deserved this? Can you really think hypothetically if her car would have went off and killed other innocent people that weren't there to agitate, innocent people, if that car would have killed the people and the dog that was in it, would you then see the error in the cops' ways? Would you then start to understand why it's not protocol to shoot in a moving vehicle? He leaned over. He's leaning over, and that's why his feet are planted so firmly in the ground that nothing really happens to him. I think he hit himself on purpose. I think he made her vehicle tap him like it did on purpose. He literally put himself in harm's way. And if you guys look at my content at all, you would see Renee Good probably wouldn't like me and the way I talk about third wave feminism and stuff like that. I'd still if any of you that are saying she deserved it got unalived in such a way, I would be saying the same thing. This is crazy. This is America. What the fuck is happening? They're conditioning us to be okay with this shit. They're conditioning you to be okay with unnecessary brutality. It's America. People escape other countries so they don't have to deal with shit like this. You guys don't seem to understand that. Um, Okay, and it's gonna be a bunch of people, a bunch of non-emotional men, right? Because men aren't emotional, they just commit 93% of violent crimes. A bunch of non-emotional men trying to "You're never gonna change my mind." He's leaning over, and she shouldn't have been there, and these are the things that they're trying to take away from us when they make our attention span so short with the 5-second TikToks and, like, try to take away critical thinking from children in schools because you can't, like, understand these nuances. Some people, it's just like, can you explain to me if her car would have killed an innocent person, would you then say maybe he shouldn't have done that? But because he executed somebody you didn't like, this is fucking crazy. If you would have told me in the 90s this is what our country was going to turn into, I would not have believed you. I wouldn't. No. You get off the internet, Wendy. If you're telling me to get off the internet on my YouTube live, and I'm sure people are reporting me, and like, go do whatever you want. I'm the one that's building a YouTube channel, and it's because a lot of the reason is because I do see the nuances and shit, and I'm not fucking brainwashed. And I actually give solutions to the problems. In my opinion, the only thing that we can do to help our situation is to be as self-sustainable as possible. Yeah, live like the Amish as much as you can. That might not mean a lot. That might not be that you might not be able to do that much. You can do something to be more self-sustainable and vote with your dollar. Yes, this means not supporting Amazon, not supporting any of these billionaires that are literally hoarding wealth and resources. And yeah, stop worshiping them too, because just because you think Elon Musk is really smart doesn't mean you're ever going to be rich one day. He's an idiot. There are so many angles that show he wasn't hit by her. There are like 5 different. Only one that resembles him getting hit was a doctor video from DHS. Nate's bored. I said that yesterday. It's AI. I'm sorry. It could be AI. I don't know for sure. I'm not God. The video that they came out with does look like, okay, yeah, she hit him. And then when you see it from above again, he's the top half of his body is leaning over. Literally, he's leaning over. So if you want to support that, and don't expect people to feel sorry for you, it's the kind of mentality that they say, like, oh, well, she deserved it. She put herself there. You're part of the problem. And you're not going to be part of the solution with that attitude either. We're supposed to be able to see it for what it is, and the the angle that shows him from above is what I'm talking about. His top half of his body is hunched over. That's why his feet were planted so firmly. He didn't get knocked over. He didn't even drop his phone. And I do believe, in my opinion, he got his phone out because he knew he was getting ready to start some shit like that. Now, I understand he was probably extremely agitated. And if I was him, I would have been agitated too. But you know what? I wouldn't take a job like that because I wouldn't want to put myself in a situation like these. And I do believe there's probably some good, but like, let's be real. Most of the people that sign up for ICE, I've heard story after story, and it could not be true. It could be true, where somebody wasn't able, they weren't eligible for law enforcement, but they got into ICE. That's pretty scary. And another off duty ICE agent killed a man in January. It does sound like the man in New Year's Eve, the man was doing something stupid too, shooting his gun off into the air, celebrating New Year's. Stupid. He shouldn't have done it. It's a felony in that state. He was in California. Doesn't mean he deserves to have somebody shoot him for it, though, okay? If you can't understand these nuances, then they've got to you, and they put so much hate in your heart that instead of seeing things for what they really are, I really do believe it's a coping mechanism. People have to have something to blame, and instead of realizing, I never thought I'd say this either, but instead of realizing the fascist dictator Trump is turning into, it's easier for you to point the finger at anything and anybody else. And that's obvious that's what was going on. And I spoke out about Charlie Kirk, people celebrating his death. I said, that is that is scary. It made me feel bad inside. And it's the same thing. But, it's not going to change my mind. I don't mean it like it's just like this yucky feeling you get when like you're watching a scary movie or something. I'm not, don't think that your laughing faces or anything are going to get to me. I think they were both wrong. They were both wrong. It shouldn't have resulted in her death. He shot her point blank through the window as she was going by him. He's a murderer, in my opinion. And you can have a different opinion, but I think that it's interesting how people literally like take sides and like cling to it. I'm the only person I've seen say she shouldn't have been there. She shouldn't have been agitating. I don't agree in agitating. I think she might have been a paid agitator. And I think we need to look into that and we need to stop that shit because it can lead to this woman, like, I'm sure whoever trained her, if this was the case, whoever trained her and her wife, because her wife was mouthing off to the cops. See, I've not seen it. Her wife was mouthing off. Should her wife should have gotten shot 3 times in the face because she mouthed off? No, no. It's America. We don't live in a fucking third world country, but it's heading there, especially when people are so willing to. The fact you're calling him fascist shows ignorant. I didn't agree with the stuff he's been doing lately, but he's not a fascist. Well, it's quickly heading towards that, Josh. I said that when people said that stuff about him, I was like, no, not Trump. He's not a career politician, even though he did disappoint me in his last term towards the end with the pharma salesman shit for a kind of drug to make us all the guinea pigs of. If she would have had been gay, wouldn't have been gay, she would have been alive today. Lone Wolf said, well, I don't know about that, Lone Wolf. It's just it's such a shame, and it's not lost upon me of like, of course, it was a lesbian. Every the height and everything from what 38 years of life has taught me is we're all more alike than different. We all want the same things, even gay people. Most people are more alike than different. Most of us want the same thing. Most gay people don't want to shove it down your throat that they're gay. Um, let's just not spam. I do appreciate you, Plant Man, but gonna have to block you. We don't spam here. You can say whatever you want as long as you're not spammy about it and you're respectful somewhat. It was a sacrifice for the dark side. This is his world. Come on, Bob said. Yeah, Christian. I'm totally open to Jesus and the Bible. I just don't consider myself religious. I don't believe in Satan. There was no Satan for a long time until Christianity came onto the scene. You know what I mean? I think that there's definitely something about dark and good and bad, dark and light. She lost custody of her kids because her wife physically abused them, literally put cigarettes out on their arms, and the judge took the kids because she wouldn't leave her, AF said. That's really interesting, AF. I still don't think she deserved to be shot in the face for what she did. And if that's true, like that is more of a reason I feel like she would go join a group where she'd get paid and then move because like I said from the beginning, it was suspicious to me. Suspicious might be the wrong word. Interesting that they just moved. No job was mentioned. It's not like they moved to Minneapolis because her wife had some prospect there. Calling her a writer and a poet, but having no examples of anything besides a contest she won in college. it'll just scream to me like more things are lining up. So like, and that's it's interesting to me because I do feel like it's part of the problem. She was an adult woman; it was her choice to be there. But if you're getting paid thousands of dollars a month or whatever they are, thousands of dollars to protest, you can't do anything to you, and da, 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 da. Like who knows what was being said to her. And like everybody's gonna like completely be okay with a man doing what he did. And it's not gonna like not incite that to happen more. Have you guys heard about the DoorDash story? Josh said, I hate the stuff he's been doing. Don't get me wrong. I voted for him and regret it. The other reason people are saying it's why she deserved it is nuts, but she had stayed at home, she'd be alive. Yeah, Josh, and we should all take a lesson from it, right? Like that's one of the only good things that can happen is that we can try to help each other do better. We're not going to stop any ICE activities as a person with your car in the street. That's not how it works. I appreciate the passion of people that are against what ICE is doing, but none of us citizens are going to just like stop them in their operations. They're just trying to like make life harder for them. And this is what happens when you pick and prod at people like that you believe are brutal human beings doing something wrong to other human beings. They might just turn on you one day. And I do believe he got his phone out. Think about getting a phone, having a phone and a gun in your hand. That's some serious maneuvering capabilities there. That doesn't seem to me like somebody who's so panicked. No, no. Wouldn't you drop your phone? He knew, in my opinion, it might have even exaggerated. Yeah, he's probably so sick, he probably been daydreaming about this, in my opinion, in his head, having these agitators constantly pester him. One of these days, I'm gonna get right in front of one of those cars. I'm gonna act like I get hit by it. I'll have my phone, so no matter what else, anything, he's literally hunched over, leaning over. And if you guys take a look at it and you like, aren't brainwashed by everything else. I know I sound like a bitch. I just don't care. Because at this point, I do believe like anybody that thinks like he was definitely in the right, I don't want them subscribed to my channel anyways, honestly. I don't say that about much. You comply or you could die, bro. That's not what law enforcement is like. What the fuck, man? Like that. It's just I'm never gonna change my mind. It was tragic. I don't like what she was doing, but that's why America is America. You know what I mean? Because we should be able to have different religions, different ideas. We should be able to do whatever the fuck we want within reason and not get shot in the face for it. And like, yeah, I agree. Within reason to me would not be evading the cops. I would never try to get away from law enforcement the way that Renee did. Uh, I still don't think she deserved to get shot in the face over it, especially with so much ICE presence. Like, how hard would it have been for them to catch up with her? Her wife was right there. Do you even realize cops have a right over you? When he tells you to stop and proceed to hit him with the car, what happens next is your fault. Chili, if you don't understand that, I think that not every mistake equals immediate death by gun in the face. I can't change your mind. You're not going to change mine. I don't know how many video games you played growing up. I was raised by a cop, and you don't get out your gun and like point it at people unless, especially at the face, at the head, unless you plan on killing them. That is a kill shot. Um, Nurse, I just think that safest forms of resistance, like I said, like if we could actually boycott things together, no matter who you voted for, no matter what your beliefs are, if we didn't hate each other so much because the divide and conquer had worked so well, we could get together and actually boycott. And it doesn't mean 100% of the population, just 30% of the population boycotting gas, Walmart. We could really change things. The reason why they divide and conquer us is because they know we're such a large majority now, it's harder than ever to control us. At the same time, they've done it. And so that's why I always say vote with your dollar and be as self-sustainable as possible and take as much of your money out of system as possible. If you are already in debt up to your ears, that is impossible to ever be debt free in your lifetime. Do whatever you can to influence the younger people in your life to be debt free, to stop financing things, stop putting money into people's pockets for interest and fees and like I live near a big Amish community. I will never myself be Amish, but I think we could learn a lot from them. They're not all great people. They're just like anybody else. There's some that aren't so great. But it's just interesting to me that so many of them stay in that way of life. And now that you know how they feel about the world, they were right. They're right. Deocent, I served 2 tours in Iraq. A vehicle is a dangerous weapon. Even more reason not to put yourself in front of it. He literally walked in front of it. Do you understand that, Deocent? Did they teach you in Iraq, and thank you for your service? Did they teach you to go in front of the vehicles? I doubt it. Instinctively, Chelsea, they are trained to move out of the way for cars. It is so slow. He had plenty of time to move. He chose not to get out of the way. Completely agree with you. Chili, yeah, you don't drive over someone when trying to flee, moron. Yeah, and the fact that after he killed her and she accelerated and drove off into parked cars, that's why we don't shoot at vehicles. And I know, self-defense, self-defense. But it's like still as proof sure her vehicle was pointed away from him. One day, the FAFO people will speak just a little too loud to the wrong officer, and then they will get it. Van Leaf Astro said, or I said, like I was, yeah, I'm not usually like this. I was making a lot of comments in these videos I was watching. Whenever somebody's like, she was going to hit him, I'm like, he put himself in front of the car. 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 And then this one person was just going back and forth with me. I was like, one day when it directly affects you, then you'll get it. And they were like, oh, you're wishing bad things on me. Look at you, how horrible you are. I was like, I'm not wishing bad things on you. Talk about playing the victim. I'm sure this is the kind of person that calls everybody on the left a snowflake. And that's what I was saying before about TDS. TDS has mutated, and now it has found homes in people who support Trump. The TDS has changed from people on the left that thought everything bad in the world was Trump's fault to the people that support him no matter what he does now. They are disillusioned. They can't admit he's not doing hardly anything besides securing the border that he promised to do. Quit running your mouth about thing you know nothing of, or though you don't have to be here. And you guys need to know when you say Gnostic Light Being, how are you doing? He was run over once, walked in front of the vehicle, pulled his pistol and fired. Yeah, he was dragged once already. And like I think that's even more reason he is an idiot for going right in front of a car like that. And when you see how close he was to his fellow officer that had his hand on the door, nobody mentions that. Oh, I bet his ears were ringing. He could have hurt that fellow officer. You know what I mean? It's just so stupid to be firing a gun within feet of a bunch of people. And I keep wanting to talk about this DoorDash story. If you didn't see, it also happened in Minnesota. How does being in front of the vehicle pardon her from driving into him? She didn't. Her wheels were turned this way. That's why when he shot her in the head, she went the opposite way. He literally put himself in front of the car. I'm going to keep saying it. She wouldn't have even touched him as much as she did if he didn't put himself in front of the car. And I think she was wrong. I don't think she deserved to be killed. Yeah, I'm a libertarian and freedom guy, and you don't draw your gun unless you're ready to use it. I totally agree with your statements about control, but I have 5 kids. It's hard not to use Walmart. Oh, Josh, yeah. We go to Walmart too, Josh. It's like in small towns, you kind of are forced to, or else you are going to be buying from Amazon. I get it, Josh. It's just, try to do what you can, especially when you're on one income. I would love to only buy homemade clothes from Etsy made out of cotton and bamboo and hemp. We can't afford that. I buy crappy clothes. If I could afford to, I would do better. It's just like where you can do it. I'm going to get into canning this year. I don't know if I'm going to grow enough tomatoes to can, but we can buy a bushel at an auction and like things like that. Like even if you don't grow a bunch of food, you can get a bushel of food and can it and save a bunch of money and have like one of your staples preserved for a year. Um, oh, you guys need to know, especially when you're talking to a strong-willed person, you telling me to stop talking like makes me want to talk even more. The dislikes I'm getting on these videos I'm doing, because usually my dislike and like ratio is great, and it's still pretty good, but I'm getting a lot more dislikes than usual on these videos. It makes me want to talk about it even more. So like the more you tell people, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. And like I am needed. People like me are needed to be able to say, hey, this isn't left versus right, guys. This shouldn't be left or right. This is a clear-cut case of like an overzealous individual who brutalized a woman. Was she doing something wrong? Yes. Does everything wrong equal getting shot in the face? No. It does after years of like, okay, let's talk about the DoorDash story. Um, yeah, another one without a brain, Virgil. I'd rather have a functioning heart than whatever is going on in your guys' minds that are like so bloodthirsty. You're like clapping this man shooting a wife and a mother in the face. Um, Bring in the army to assist ICE. Yeah, the more this chaos keeps ensuing and the more conflicts there are, the more likely that is, and then we all suffer for it. I believe in the Second Amendment. I don't understand how more people aren't like, God, this is bad for all of us. Every huge incidents like this where somebody uses their gun too quick. I look at it as like you're making all of us GUN owners look bad. Like, how does nobody else feel that way? And it's so interesting to me. If you lean towards the right, you absolutely agree it was self-defense. She was going to hit him with her car. It's a deadly weapon. If you lean towards the left, you're like, she was dropping her kid off at school. She was doing nothing wrong. There's a median there. She was agitating. That is apparent. She shouldn't have been parked in the road the way that she was parked. She shouldn't have tried to flee when she tried to flee when officers were surrounding her. It sounds like calling different orders out to her. And there had just been a few different ICE vehicles passing her. So I do understand in her mentality, she's like, well, those guys didn't stop me. Why didn't one of those ICE SUVs block her from the other side if they were really trying to capture her? Because that's what cops who are trained in this would have done. That's another good point. Can one of you guys that think the officer was right answer me that? Oh, thank you so much, Josh. You're a smart creator. Thanks for being interesting. And just a few months ago, I'm like, I feel like this is what he's doing. The way he's and thank you so much, Josh. The way and I love it when people can agree to disagree. I don't want everybody to agree with me all the time, but we can be nice to each other. You know what I mean? I laugh a lot. I just am like that, Atlantic. I'm a really bubbly person. Believe it or not, I'm like, I wake up really bubbly, especially when I'm not going through something health wise. And it's a kind of nervous thing where it's like, the officer was right. Plus, Karma the bitch. Wasn't she making fun of Charlie Kirk for being assassinated? Haha. Are you talking about me or Renee? Because I never made fun of Charlie Kirk. I stood up for him, even though I didn't like him. It creeped me out when people on the left were cheering that on. And it's the exact same thing. It's like a mind virus. Like they want us to look at our fellow American citizens like less than human beings. And it's working. Both sides wrong. Yes, Morgan, Morgan. Once again, I don't think everybody has to agree with me, but it's just like hardly anybody is saying that. They were both doing things that were wrong. He walked in front of her vehicle. He put himself in front of it, and the top half of his body, if this is his body, the top half of his body is literally hunched over as if he's trying to get hit by the vehicle. He has his phone in his hand. In my opinion, I think that he might have gotten fed up with her bullshit, and he did this on purpose. Have any of you actually watched the video evidence she was murdered, cat find stuff? It's just so interesting that this is like people are so for the cop. I'm like, this is bad for all of us. She did cheer on Kirk. I still don't think that she deserves to get shot in the face. You know what I mean? Ross murdered Renee Catfind stuff said. Josh, that was creepy. The stuff that Trump's saying about like Greenland. Oh, and Colombia's next. I'm a quarter Colombian for those of you that don't know. It's like, no, this isn't what I wanted him to win over Kamala. I did not know that this was I thought that he wasn't going to start World War III. Remember how the whole time Biden was in office, it was about him starting World War III with Russia? But I just don't understand how people and like Josh said, like some people I know have changed their minds and seen it for what it is. It's super interesting to me. It's like a social experiment. It's been months now since everybody took their Trump signs down around here. There's so many Trump signs. There was one for years at this town, on this building that was downtown. It's gone. All the farmers have taken down their Trump signs months ago. If you guys don't know what's going on with farming, and there's a lot of people that are disappointed in Trump that I think don't have the balls to say it. You know what I mean? And that's fine if you're a private person, you don't want to. I'm just saying, um, all we can do is try to create our own future. And that's why I'm very into permaculture gardening. And if people didn't know, the average age of American farmers is 60 years old. They're all getting ready to retire or sell their lands, and a lot of them are breaking up their big farms into smaller estates. Some of them are like 10, 12 acres, well, actually like nice, what could be a nice little farm in and of itself. But like just a shame, the more that happens and the less of these huge sprawling farms, and then we're going to turn into Venezuela because that's what Venezuela did. They started importing everything because they were like, oh, we have all this money from oil. We can buy everything. We don't have to grow anything here. You realize that her gender or having kids has nothing to do with it, Jared said. I agree with you, Jared. If you're saying that to somebody else, I don't know. I used to be Republican, now a card carrying libertarian. This kind of stuff is why. Josh, I probably would consider myself a libertarian too. I just hate to say it. I know this sounds awful. I just don't think it's realistic because of the way people are. You know what I mean, Josh? But like, and really, my heart is libertarianism. And the third party vote isn't a wasted vote. If we got, I forget the percentage, but if like 10 or 20, I forget the percentage. If X amount of percentage of votes was for a third party, then the next election cycle, they get a lot more funding. So this is another reason people need to get over the two-party system and be more open-minded, even if it takes several years. The more of us do that, the more likely there is to be like another way. I'll tell you how the officer was correct. Okay, John. The vehicle was not even moving forward when the agent was in front of the vehicle. Her wife said, hit the gas. Yes, it was justified. I still feel like he put himself right in front of it. Her wheels were turned. That's why when he incapacitated her, she did not go at all forward or in the direction of the officers. But you're welcome here, John. Everybody's welcome here. His life was put in danger by himself. I agree, Yeet. He walks from one side to, he goes like this to get the license plate, and I think he walked from that side again over. In my opinion, he got his phone out because he was like, this is purely speculative, and if it really bothers you, then you need to get a hobby or something in your life, okay? Because I'm sure I'm not the only person that thinks this. He was bent over. The top half of his body was bent over. Like Honda Pilots are pretty boxy vehicles. His feet were so far away from the car. It, I have an aerial shot of it, and I've been trying to. I'm doing the thing where like the some of the aspects are too small, and so I didn't upload it. I suck at editing, and then you have all these different like, is it called aspect ratios? I just had my phone too, because I'm a poor Kentuckian. Trump can do so much. Want to blame someone else, blame a city, county, state, and Congress people. Oh, John, I agree with you. It starts on a local level, and people do need to be more involved with their like local politics. But Trump, he didn't disappoint you when he was inaugurated with all the billionaire CEOs standing behind him, and has only done favors for them since. I don't know, how to explain it to you why people are so disappointed by him, but I'm severely disappointed in Trump having Miriam Adelson up saying, "Oh, she loves the no-no country more than America. Oh, she donated $250 million to me." Fuck him. He's no different. They're all the same. They all only serve their rich peers. They're all the same. It is us versus them. I mean that in the most peaceful way possible. We are the powerful ones. We are the ones that make this country run. We're the ones that keep the supply chain going. Everybody has food and medicine and medical supplies because of us. It's not because any of these rich people fawn over. Like JD Vance, he is such a fucking joke. The propositions, like the people that are going up there, it is getting worse and worse. It seems to me like people are getting dumber and dumber as a whole. You can listen to recordings of people who were like born in the 1800s talking in like 1920, 1930, and like the way people talk, you could tell they knew more vocabulary because they read books. And when you read books written by different authors from different parts of the world, that's the best way to expound upon your vocabulary. And like that's, I can't read. The last few months I can't read, so I'm no better or smarter than, feel like, yeah, that's what they want. They want us to be like, now when we have more knowledge, more information available at our fingertips than ever, we know the least. ICE agents have the right when they probably cause, or when they have probable cause or suspicion. The minute Renee stalked and obstructed the operation, she was fair game. Okay, base, you can think that. I don't think that. I honestly feel, I know, I'm just gonna say it. I love you guys. I mean, I have love in my heart for everybody. When people talk like that, I just think, did you grow up playing video games? Yeah, I do think when you play extremely violent games for hours of your life, it changes your mentality, or it can. I'm not saying that it changes everybody, obviously, or else there'd be a lot more violence, I think. But it's like she was fair game. Where do you draw the line? So if she makes a mistake, even though cars went around her, even though she wasn't completely obstructing, because other ICE agents went around her and they didn't stop her and block her in like they could have if they were really trying to detain her. It's like that one guy decided, the truck stopped. They weren't communicating with each other, or else why didn't that one SUV? Wasn't it two SUVs that both looked like ice vehicles went around her? Um, I don't align with ism, and I honestly don't think money is a good tool anymore. Van Life Astro said, "Do you have a channel, Van Life? If you're still in here." Renee Good was in front of her own house. Quit drinking the Kool-Aid. Martine, I don't know if she was in front of her own house or not. I think if that was the truth, we would have known by now. Honestly, she might have been in her neighborhood, but I said it from the beginning. They tried to say she was agitating for hours. It happened at 9:40 a.m. So how long could it have been? But it does seem like she's probably out there for an hour or more, because school usually starts at 8, 8:30 at the latest. So if they dropped a child off at school, then it happened at 9:40. That to me says she wasn't out there all day, but definitely could have been agitating them and obviously was. And the way her wife was talking to her, I think it's interesting left-leaning news outlets always are talking over her wife saying drive baby drive. They're trying to mess with the narrative, both sides, and it's like, why? If we just see it for what it is, then some real healing could take place, but it's just further divide and conquer. And for you guys that didn't see me talk about, Janus is like an ancient deity. It's very old Roman god that is a two-faced man, one face looking towards the future, one face looking towards the past, and often used in rituals when it comes to like new beginnings, new endings, or when peace turns into conflict. And in my opinion, I think it's possible. I want to do more research on this. In maybe I'll make an edited video and get 20 views on it. They perform rituals. And why is Minnesota being focused on so much? Minnesota isn't the only state with fraud. You know what? I want to do a video on these rehab houses. God bless anybody in recovery. I'm glad there are resources available to people in recovery. But it's like every new business of every there's so many halfway houses. It has to be a moneymaker for the people doing it, or else there wouldn't be so many. I have a friend in recovery who have other people coming to him at his halfway house trying to get him to join their halfway house. It's crazy. It must be really easy to get like a house and turn it into one of these things and make a shit ton of money because he pays like $500 a month. You know, it's not completely free. Anyways, it's just really one of the most beautiful big monasteries in Springfield, Kentucky was turned into a place like that. And I just don't think that it's right. I know they make a lot of money from insurance companies. And I've heard people, I people are having more good outcomes than not, you know? But it just makes me wonder. She may have been in front of her house, but she was parked on the street in front of the ICE agents trying to obstruct justice. The said, yeah, and I don't think it was right. I also don't think it warranted her being shot in the face. Glamordium, I don't think death is never fair. I mean, it's like the great equalizer. In a way, it is one of the most fair things to happen to a person. Mr. Duxbill, you must have been sheltered. Nothing bad has ever happened to you. Oh, yeah, Mr. Duxbill. When I spent a year in therapy, he said I had been through the most of any person he'd ever given therapy to. I just don't play the victim. She tried to murder an innocent man cut and dry, James Prince said. He got in front of her car. He literally put himself in front of her car. I don't believe that she tried to murder him, but you can. Instinctively, I think that two things you're doing, train your eyes and change your brain chemistry, I swear. Yes. Okay, so I saw this lady say this and I was like, I swear this has happened to me. Have you guys we all have had advertisements come up on our phone after we talked about something or even like Googled something. Have you ever had something being advertised to you that you didn't say out loud that you just thought of? Because I swear that's happened to me. Barney, you've got it backwards. It's watching too many superhero movies that make you think there is some perfect response that the cop was supposed to pull off instead of reacting like a human in reality. Barney, that's a good point. That's a really good point. But I don't see him as a victim here. I think he got out his phone. A phone and a gun at the same time. That's pretty talented. I think he knew what he was about to do. That's why his body is literally his feet planted firmly in the ground, and the top half of his body is literally like curled over the vehicle. If you watch it, he put himself in front of her vehicle. And yeah, her girlfriend did say, "Drive, baby, drive." And that's why I think it's interesting. People on the left aren't going to learn what they could from this because they're just going to be incited to do more, to be more, to go destroy some more small businesses that have nothing to do with anything and shit like that. And like, if people, weren't so divided, they're both trying to divide us, Josh said. Yes, I agree. She was part of Ice Watch. She was laying on her horn and instigating with the officers. Oh, based. Yeah, I said that. I did see that for like 3 to 4 minutes before it seemed to be her horn. I saw that video too. That just came out like today. And I think that she was agitating. I don't think she should have been. Good for you, Molotov, if you're still in here. Molotov Juice Box, 2.5 years sober. Alma TM, how are you doing? Both are backed by money. Look up how much the Merck family donated to Trump's campaign. Yes, it's all about the money. They don't care about us. They look down on us. Thank you, Sourly. They look down on us for not having as much money as them because once again, I think this is like a coping mechanism. I don't think they're good people, but I just think instead of like even going there, and the story of Buddha, like Siddhartha, he's a prince kept inside his palace gates his whole life until at one point, I don't know, he was like, I don't know how old he was. I should know this. I've read the book a teenager or something, and he walked outside his palace gates and saw all the suffering and was like, "Oh, whoa, oh shit, what? Oh my gosh!" And could you imagine if more people with money actually acted that way? It's obviously the opposite. They see the suffering and they're like, couldn't be me. Oh my god, dirty people. It's like Paris Hilton's brother one time went off on an airplane and he's like, filthy peasants, or whatever. He was calling people peasants. And I'm like, yeah, this is what they all think about us. They all think we're like peasants. Janus is huge. There's so much symbolism. It's quite the rabbit hole, Lioness said. Yes. I think I'm gonna make a edit video. I know I say that about a lot. Honestly, I don't upload over half of what I make edited because they suck. It's so much harder to talk to a camera. I'm so used to live streams. Like I don't like the way I act on camera without you guys. And often I feel like a lot of my stuff is just too boring. I'm like, I wouldn't watch this all the way through, so why would I post it? But this Janice subject got brought up by Lovely TTV. She's a really fun YouTuber, talks a lot about everything going on, kind of like me. I'm not comparing myself to her. She's way better. You know, she'll talk about like political stuff. She'll talk about social stuff, levitating pigeon. She jumped in the car and said, "Drive, baby, drive, like get away." She tried to jump in, but the door was locked. But yeah, I did see that. How am I a victim showdowns? Because I said that a therapist said that I've been through more than anybody else you ever get therapy to. I didn't even say what it was. It's a moneymaker, absolutely, instinctively, Chelsea said. Josh, I'm 3 years sober and rehab didn't help me. That's why I'm working on my counseling license. Oh, well, I'm so glad that something worked, Josh. Good for you. Congrats, Adrian said. Driving away isn't a reason for murder. Why can't I talk? Yes, levitating pigeon. That's how I feel. That's why I keep saying, to people that say like she was gonna, and unfortunately, I do think it's the biggest thing he's got going for her. Is like, and so many people believe it. I feel like he was leaning over. When you watch the first video that was released from like an aerial point of view, his body is curled over, and nobody has. I know I'm not reading all the chats, but like, prove me wrong. I mean, I should just make a video on it. And then I have this like aerial footage from like him walking to, and he walks around from one side and he stays in the path of her moving vehicle. He puts himself in harm's way on purpose. And this is what we all need to be aware of. And I get it. I'm not saying it was right. That's what I'm saying. I can understand from his perspective. He was fed up. This woman had probably done this a few times already that morning. He's like, I'm going to take care of this problem for good. And yeah, I'm going to show other people what might happen to them and make an example out of it. I do think that that might have been what happened. I'm not saying for sure. Thank you for sending the 100 cozy tard. Thank you. Okay, and I apologize for not reading all the chats. It's called a box maneuver. They boxed her in on both sides and yelled orders to the driver. The street was one way and they couldn't let her go to the left. She had to go wrong way to get away. So, okay, Martin, am I wrong? I didn't think they boxed her in. I saw two vehicles past her, and I don't know if they showed enough to show. Hello, Mind the Gap. How are you? The fact that he pulled his phone out to film proves he was just stirring shit and didn't feel in danger. Completely agree, user. Completely agree. And I honestly wasn't going to be like, so I think he was leaning over on the car. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not an independent journalist. Brian Enton works for News Nation now. And he was one of the people that was, they like played the clip. So they like cut out when her wife said, drive, baby, drive. They're trying not to show the full story. You can admit she shouldn't have been there. She was an agitator. She shouldn't have been shot in the face for it, though. Like that's just how I think a lot of people would feel like 10, 20 years ago before all this divisiveness happened, like more people would be able to see it for what it was. Yes, he switched gun and phone in his hand before car moved and shooting. I know, Barbara, right? Like what skills to have. Most people in a moment like that where you're talking about split second decisions and like, yeah, you do have to put himself in like this was seconds, like a reaction, and this has been studied before, like you a lot of times it is like something that like a lot of us would do, and it's hard to understand because you're not in that few seconds, but a lot of us wouldn't literally put ourselves in the way of a moving car. And the way he had his phone out said to me like, I just wonder how often he takes his phone out and feels the need to do that. So let's talk about the DoorDash. Siddhartha and John Maynard Keynes are pretty much the same story, except one stuck us with Keynesian theory garbage. Who that is now? I want to look it up. Monkey business. Thank you. Well, politicians don't actually control very much. They have some control, and donors expect reciprocity in favors when they donate. Yes, Amatian. I don't think any of them serve their constituents. I used to really like Tulsi Gabbard. She's just like any of them. That's what I was starting to say about Massey earlier. I wonder if he worked his way up, if he would turn into a corrupt one too, and not stand on his principles the way he does. But I don't think he's a victim. No, the he only took the gun out when she reversed. There were other officers there and only used it when she used the car as a weapon, Mr. Duckspill said. The fact that there were other officers there makes it even like just more egregious that he's shooting his gun multiple times. And this is like the way that the car, what if the car would have went and killed one of his fellow officers or anybody that wasn't there to agitate? I think more people would understand why he was in the wrong. This doesn't mean that she wasn't doing anything wrong herself. But I draw the line way after having your SUV partially blocking the road. I don't think you should get shot in the face for that. You guys need to study Canada after 10 years of liberal leftist government. The life our parents had growing up in Canada is now completely unattainable. Housing is messed, healthcare is messed. Adrian, thank you for saying that. And I'm sorry. You'd be surprised how many Americans romanticize Canada and talk about moving up there. She shouldn't have hit the accelerator with him anywhere near the front of her vehicle. The I love spinners, like the hubcaps, Jade. I used to have fake spinners. Would you hit the accelerator if you were driving and somebody was 3 feet in front of your vehicle, anywhere near the front of your vehicle? No, I would have stopped if there was law enforcement officers near me. I'd be too big of a pussy to do what she was doing in the first place. And I'm not saying that like she was courageous. I'm just saying I'm not the type of person that would do that. I said this before. I've done protests for GMOs where we stood out of the road, never blocking traffic. And like people that want to come to you, come to you. We were at this intersection where Burlington Coat Factory and a Walmart is at in Louisville, and like it was such a busy intersection. We just stood there on the corner and people would stop and talk to us. That to me is peaceful protesting. I don't agree with the agitating shit. I do think that they were probably paid. I think that that's what we should go after. But because both sides are just so busy, like fighting over, and I'm not making all of the excuses for Renee. I just think that this shit goes deeper. And that wife and mother wouldn't be dead right now if she wasn't radicalized. And it was her choice. But we could learn something from him. Avoided with the car by pushing pushing off to the side. You think that's what he was doing, based? How was he pushing off to the side when he had a gun and a phone in both his hands? I'm sorry. I try to be as respectful as possible, but it's just like it's like I'm watching a movie. It really is like living in the world's longest episode of The Twilight Zone. I don't see how anybody in their right mind could watch it because you know I'm right because he probably left and went and watched it. His body's literally hunched over because he's trying to make contact with the vehicle. His feet were so firmly planted in the ground. How on earth could you push away a vehicle with a gun and a phone in your hands? The spelling is interpreted since it's been through several translations. Siddhartha Gautama was an Indian, but Buddhism didn't start in India. Monkey. Um, can we talk more about Trump's decisions over the past 2 years? What do you want to talk about, Barbara? I wanted him to win, and I'm always like clear about that. But yeah, I just wanna start a farm, you guys. I wanna, like, I can't show the footage because I can't I'm on my phone, I don't have StreamYard. I wish I did. I use the phone data. We don't have high-speed internet here in rural Kentucky, and it really does suck because I would love to do StreamYard and, like, share videos and articles with you guys. Canada and I plan on doing that one day when we can. Canada has done fine over 150 years, and we've had a liberal government over 70% of that time. Molotov juice box, but what about the housing situation? And a lot of that was letting foreigners buy real estate. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what we need to quit letting happen here too. You'd be surprised how much like of our farmland is owned by China. Um, and I don't think that's right. That's They cut that shit out in Canada recently too, though, but it's like too little, too late. I've never seen something that gets this much attention not be a psyop. Mason, yeah, I agree with you. Just the focus on Minnesota and everything going on in Minnesota, I really do believe it's some kind of ritual, and not that to say that nothing is really happening. It could all be fake too. Canada has definitely fallen. You let too many um, radicalized people into your country, Jade said. So I've always been honest. Like, I think the radicalized people are what ruin it, but at the same time, I just held up my copy of the Quran yesterday, as I've never read a more, like, hateful book, and I don't understand how so many Muslims are as peaceful as they are, because I can't get through 2, 3, 4 pages of the Quran without reading about how horrible unbelievers are and how they deserve death and all it's just insane. And, what was just made up, you're actually 26 and rehabs don't do anything for anybody who's not ready to stop, Dada said. Thank you for sharing and good for you. That's amazing. A quarter of a century. It's so sad. I hope my friend is okay. I haven't talked to him in a while. But it's this world. I don't blame anybody for being addicted. I wish the best for them, but this world is so messed up. No one's disputing that. You're assuming a false either or when in reality there are no good guys in that video. Amatiem. I agree. She actually directed the car at the ICE agent. No, she didn't. He walked in front of it. She was obviously trying to evade, which was wrong. Doesn't warrant 3 shots in the face or however many hit her face, because that first one that went through the windshield, I don't know, maybe that did would have hit her face. I just feel like it was too low too. He puts himself in the path to discourage her from driving off. It's a common tactic when the police think they can bring about compliance without conflict. Monkey business, I disagree with you. I don't think they ever tell a police officer to try to stop a car with their body. That's just ridiculous. Cars weigh thousands of pounds, and just a tap can hurt. I broke out a headlight really bad in my first car, just like backing out of a parking space, and I was going so slow. And the damage I did to that car going so slow, they're like tin cans. But anyways, I don't agree with that. All that matters is if he feared for his life, Mr. Duxbill said. Yeah, and that's why he got his phone out because he was going to make it a point to get on camera what made him fear for his life, in my opinion. So simple setup for murder. That's what I saw set up hit the metal whisper. So you think he was set up the metal? I just don't know why somebody would like sacrifice themselves like Renee. I think she would make a different choice had she known that was going to make it so nobody ever saw her again. She was dead forever. And that doesn't make her any less wrong. I still just don't think the level of wrong she was warranted getting shot and unalived. She was shot in the face for hitting an officer with a car. You're well based. I appreciate you being in here and being respectful. She was shot in the face for hitting an officer with a car, Mr. Duxville. Okay, the officer put himself in front of the car. I'm going to keep saying it. He didn't fear for his life walking in front of a moving car. Jade, yeah, that's um, he didn't put himself in the way of a moving car. Yes, he did, Mr. Duxbill. You need to watch the video again. He walked around her car like twice. He went from the opposite side to get from the front around to get her license plate. You can see a lot of people are calling it a body cam. You can see the reflection of him holding up his phone. And for him to maneuver the phone and the gun, in my opinion, that says that he wasn't like split second decision. What am I going to do? I think he did it on purpose. And that's just an opinion I could be wrong about. I don't feel like I'm right just because of my emotions. And I didn't say this until today. I did feel like they were both wrong. And when I watched that video again, I'm like, he's leaning over for the car to make contact with him, in my opinion. The liberal part we got in 2015 is very different than the liberal we got in the past, Adrian said. If you're talking about here or Canada, I agree with you, Adrian. Either way. Exactly, Mr. Ducky put himself in front of a parked vehicle that I said. Somebody put a baby in a bottle. That's cute. I'm watching the footages now. He switched hands to draw his weapon. She was taking off before her wife even got in. Her wife didn't get in. The door was locked. I just want to correct you, just so you know, and you like are saying that to other people. Somebody might think that you didn't really see what they saw because you keep saying that. Her wife never got in the car. She tried to. And, after she said, "Big boy, go get lunch," she was an Army veteran, what did she say? She's like, gosh, what was the first instigating thing she said? Which I think is wrong. I still don't think Renee should have got shot in the face over it. "Are you gonna start with us?" She said something like that. Holy shit, you are not living in reality, Mr. Duxbill said. Talk about the DoorDash. Okay, I'm sorry, Jade. I hope you're still in here. You might not be. In Minnesota, there was a woman that ordered DoorDash. The DoorDash driver was being hunted down by ICE. The DoorDash driver had somebody with her in her car, and ICE got them, and the DoorDash driver ran into this woman's house. It's sad, it's unnerving. If you are an emotional person, you might not want to. It's very sad what goes on, and this could happen to any of us. And this woman at one point, she says, I'm Native American. You already killed my people. Like, get away from me. I'm scared. I have a 1.5-year-old in my house. This woman is basically like harboring, with all within a few minutes. And there's this ICE officer with his hand on his gun. And she kept saying, "Get away from my house." She called the local police station and they're telling her, like, they do have a warrant. And then her husband and her are like talking. They're like, "Please show us your warrant. Keep your hands off your guns." Nobody feels comfortable. Everybody's going to act a little different than they would otherwise if you have your gun pointing at them and you have your hand on your gun, you know? And then the guy literally lies. And like, this is a lot of back and forth. At one point, the officer that you see him with his hand on his gun a lot in this video before this, he's like, I didn't put my hand in my gun. They're fucking liars. And then she's like, I've been filming you. You absolutely had your hand on your gun the whole time you were in my yard. She's super upset, super emotional. I don't blame her. She like takes the DoorDash driver's ID to the door. She's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. They like force the woman, which honestly, shame on that woman that ran in their house. Shame on her. Once again, I think she was wrong. I think that the ICE officers were wrong. They intimidate people. Yeah, they could go about it better in situations like this when a citizen has somebody they don't even know run into their home. Lots of illegals doing DoorDash, lots of immigrants doing DoorDash. You guys might be a little careful if you know ICE is in your neighborhood or state and you're ordering DoorDash. Okay. You just need to be aware of that. I used to DoorDash all the time. I stopped because they started paying literally a dollar, $2. $2. I lost money doing my last DoorDash order. They pay so little because they're paying illegal immigrants, and it sucks. It affects all of us. No, I've never heard anybody talk about that either. These gigs, they know there's people doing Instacart and DoorDash that aren't signed up for it. They know. I have to scan my face every time I do fucking Instacart every fucking time. Obviously, they like live with each other. You know, they'll scan it before they get ready to go and they go, they don't ask you to scan your face like in the middle of anything, which they should. My opinion, DoorDash knows there's illegals or like immigrants in bad situations doing DoorDash left and right. And they've lowered what they pay people drastically because of it. I literally lost money. It was in Russell Springs, Kentucky. If you know where that's at, it's by Lake Cumberland. It was from McDonald's to like somewhere around the lake. And they paid me literally like less than $3. If you think that chasing down and harassing law enforcement is okay, you're the problem. I don't think it's okay, Forest Monster. I think you're the problem if you think chasing down and harassing law enforcement equals getting shot in the face. So we can agree to disagree. The people you need to be talking to are the ones that make the laws, not the ones that enforce them. I'm not trying to talk to either of those. I'm Native American and I don't fear the police. Good for you, Mr. Duxbill. If you had somebody run into your house and then you had several officers circling your house with guns drawn, I think you might feel differently. Um, I don't know how to pronounce that, Deascent. I'm Paiuti, I'm sorry, and I don't fear the police. Well, good. Good for you guys. I'm also part indigenous Colombian. I'm like 13% indigenous Colombian, and I don't fear the police. Monkey business. OMT. I'm 12 years of dealing with stupid people is not a simple appeal to the credentials. My credentials mean that I have analyzed such situations in the past, and I am an instructor trainer. I'm a subject matter expert on the use of force, Monkey Business said. Oh, well, that's cool. I'm going to read your past comments, make sure I've read them all. Any court of law would uphold that statement. Illegal immigration hurts everyone. Latin America has very few social programs because they know they can ship their poor to us. Right. And then when they do make money and they send a lot of it back home, like how does that affect our economy? Nobody hardly ever talks about that either. You know, all these people coming over here working jobs, they're like sending a big portion of it back home. Um, the Quran is a blueprint for global domination. It, like Christianity, is based upon the idea that if people don't think like you should kill them. Yes. I don't, how is Christianity like that though? No, I don't disagree with you that it's like trying to be dominant. And that's apparent when like these Baptists are trying to change monks, men who devoted their lives to be being Buddhist monks walking across our country. And these men think they can tell them like, you're going to burn in hell forever if you don't believe in Jesus. But I know not all Christians. I think it's one thing to like I like it when people say like Jesus loves you. That like that really does make me feel good. But telling me that I need to like repent or I'm going to be burning eternally, like that doesn't do anything. He wasn't trying to stop the vehicle with his body. That's ridiculous, though, that said. Um, what do you think an illegal would do? Mason said. An illegal would do what? For what? I'm sorry. Why would you be harassing anybody that has a gun, lady? You're the problem. They're allowed to defend themselves from crazy people like you. I wouldn't be harassing him. See how people are? Y'all are turning into the emotional, irrational, not logically thinking people that like you think everybody else is. I don't think she should have been there. I don't think she should have been shot in the face 3 times. I think that he put himself in the way of her vehicle and nobody calling me crazy or whatever is going to change that. I'm correct on her because of these credentials I have not going to cut it. Said. They do get away with shit, often when they shouldn't, is law enforcement officers. And I don't have a good feeling that like some anything will come out of this. And a lot of it is there's a bunch of lawyers that say, none of them acknowledge he put himself in front of the car though. The lawyers are like, oh, this was definitely a clear-cut case of self-defense. But how can you claim I was scared of the vehicle coming at me when you walked in front of it twice? Wasn't that the second time he had put himself in front of it? I got a DoorDash once and my soda cup had a horrible old lady perfume smell on it. Oh, that's awful decent. Yeah, you guys, not that my car is the cleanest car ever, but like, I've seen some people doing DoorDash that I wouldn't want even touching the bag that my food was in. Um, I'm correct because I cannot articulate why I'm correct. Can you monkey business at Alma TM? Um, you would fear the Colombian police. It's spelled with 2 O's. I just correct people just so you know. I don't care that much, but some other person might be like, "You spelled it wrong." We're all used to Columbus here with the U. Duval, let's go Jaguars. If you're not trying to talk to him, why are you chasing them down and harassing them? You're going to have a problem if they're putting their lives in danger. They're allowed to protect themselves. I don't think that he put his own life in danger. Forrest, you can think that all you want, okay? I think that he got his phone out and leaned over. You can literally see not one person, and I don't expect somebody to necessarily, but go watch the aerial footage yourself. You'll see how he's shaped like a C. He's not standing up straight. I think he did it on purpose, honestly. And it's like the divide and conquer that I'm most concerned with. The Mormon missionaries are the best to play with DSNs. You are so indoctrinated, prove me wrong about the authority they don't have on state streets, Jade said. This was a setup and a hit, the metal whisperer said. Buffalo Bill said, okay, Jade, are you in Ukraine? That's not Christianity, that's Islam, Forrest said. Terry, and if she wasn't there, she wouldn't have been shot. Yeah, but I still don't. You could say that about anybody that was murdered. If they weren't there, they wouldn't have been murdered. And that's how a lot of women feel about like sexual assault. It's like, yeah, that doesn't mean that it's right. That doesn't mean that it's justified. If you've ever had somebody rape you, you usually blame yourself a lot more than you think you would. I'm a good and she was wrong, Gary Good said. Hey, Gary. So, Gary, if you're still in here, my opinion, everybody's welcome. I don't think everybody has to believe the same. I think diversity makes us stronger, and I want people to think different things than me. I think that she was wrong, but I don't think she was so wrong she deserved to get shot in the face. That's where I'm coming from. And I think that guy pulled out his phone knowing he was going to start something. He was going to get hit by your car. And when you see the aerial footage, he's literally shaped like a C. The top half of his body is leaning over. Video analysts have analyzed the video and say cop wasn't hit. Vehicle came half an inch close to him. They used specialized equipment. Barbara, where did you see that at, Barbara? He was so secularism because of the Soviet Union people repeal the 19th Amendment. Sweet gum. Mason, I did DoorDash for 6 years and the legal problem started 2 to 3 years ago. It's impossible to do it now and make anything. Thank you for, yeah. So another person that saw, yeah, I did it starting in 2019 or 20. And I agree with you. It's been about 2 years. I wasn't living in this house or I just moved into this house. It's been 2 or 3 years since I was like, no more. They gave me so little and I had to drive like a half an hour from the McDonald's and then the McDonald's was closed by the time I got back. So I couldn't get another order. And just so you guys know, if you order Instacart or DoorDash, sometimes it like I don't think this happens as much anymore, but it's really nice if you are one of those people that's like, "I have to answer the door." Get to the door as fast as possible. If you make somebody wait 5 minutes or more, they might be missing an order. They could make more money if you didn't take so long. I just wanna say that. Forrest, that is exactly what Christianity has tried to do in the past and would try to do it again if allowed. Look up the bonfire of the vanities and wonder why Europeans don't know their roots, Monkey Business said. Um, go Gary Good said instinct. Terry, go off the wrong way to justify stupidity. She was playing games with ice. I think it was stupid of her. I agree with that. I don't think that she deserved to be shot in the face, though. I really don't. Sweet Gab, if she wasn't chasing social media clout, she would still be alive. Is that what's going on, Sweet Gab? I didn't see much about her social media. I do feel like she was probably a paid agitator because the way that she said she had been a dental hygienist and worked at a credit union before moving to Minnesota. But then calling her a writer and a poet. Maybe her wife had a good job and they lived off one income. That is possible, but like it's less probable than ever nowadays, you know? So I'm just wondering, like, what made them move there? What the fuck is going on in Minnesota, you guys? And so yeah, it's like it's important, like it if you believe in these things, energy harvesting rituals, like however worked up you get about it, like it's yeah, it's upsetting, but, like, try not to let it consume you. Like, that's what they want. They want us to be consumed with, like, anger and negative emotions, and it's actually quite liberating to see it from the outside looking in and not be beholden to one other. The guy pulled out his phone because he wanted to film the event for YouTube Monkey Business. I think he knew that he was gonna turn into a C and get hit by the front of her box, her giant box. Self-preservation is real, it's instinct. Yeah, Gary Good, but like I hope you understand where I'm coming from. He literally put himself in front of the car. That's not self-preservation to me. He literally put himself in front of a very large, if you didn't know, aren't they the biggest? I mean, maybe Honda makes bigger minivans. Honda Pilots are the biggest vehicle, right? Biggest SUV Honda makes. I mean, it's just any car could kill you hitting head on. But such a large vehicle, you know how high up that hood is, it makes sense that he is in, like, this boxy front hood. You just go like this, "Ooh, ooh," and it, like, shows up on his camera. Obviously, let's be real, if she really hit him, you guys, if this was the other way around, if things were completely changed, the people on the right would be like, "Oh, that just tapped her." They would, they would. If the Trump did a quarter of the things that he's done, if Biden did, excuse me, a quarter of the things that Trump has done in like the last 6 months of his administration, and people would be throwing a fit. And it's just like proof of like the most important thing is like your world that you create for yourself. It's important to be aware of what's going on, but like you can have a good life no matter what is going on outside. Especially if I hate to say this because I know cities are special for their own reasons, but I would try to move away from cities if I could, if I was somebody in a city still. Vance said she tried to ram him, huh? That'll echo through midterm. Trump better do something now. This is a train wreck dumpster fire. Metal Whisper, thank you for saying that because Christy Nome, the original narrative of their vehicle was stuck in the snow. They were trying to dislodge their vehicle from the snow and she came ramming at them was a complete lie. Complete bald-faced lie. That was the why though? Why did they have to lie? Why did they come out of the gates lying like that? And there's probably still people out there walking around saying that because like they don't pay attention to everything that comes out the same. And lots of spurious and fallacious arguments and thinking in the chat. People need to learn critical thinking, take a logic 101 class, learn about fallacies, MTM. Yes. Monkey Business Barba, they have released more videos that show the actual hit and him falling away. He never fell, Monkey Business. He never fell. And somebody said he was limping. I didn't see any limp. Look at me, I'm a lesbian and woke. Look at me, I'm fighting ice, sweet Gab said. Yeah, still doesn't mean she deserved to get shot in the face. Deocent, you obviously don't know how to read. I am a federal agent and can't enforce anything without local laws enforcement with me, or nor can any other three-letter agency. Facts, not faux facts, Jade said. The Lefel Duval, let's go Jags. If you're saying I'm funny, thanks, Mason. Monkey business. To boil this down, it's a tragic situation. She was dumb. The cops didn't do wrong for what they were given in the situation, and it doesn't solve anything to attack them for doing their job. No, I think it might not solve a woman's death, but it could help us improve things from this point forward. And I said from the beginning, don't do what Renee Good did. Don't not go home to your family because you wanted to try to agitate some cops, ICE agents. That's not going to change anything. I don't agree with immigration, the way that it happened, the way they let so many people illegally immigrate here for several years. It totally changed my hometown in Southern Indiana. I was Louisville, but I was raised a lot, like, just not far away in Southern Indiana. And, oh God, it's just like, still don't agree with the way that they're handling this now. I feel like it's an overcorrection. The pendulum always swings to the other side no matter what, but like this is like overcorrecting. She had ties to the Venezuelan gang. It's a fact. Look it up. She had a horse in the race. Scary good. I think you're confusing her with the couple that got shot in Portland. Did you guys see the Portland sheriff crying over Tren de Agua? Seriously, the sheriff in Portland was crying, blubbering, really upset because he doesn't want to come off as racist. I'm serious. Like this is. And that's the kind of shit that makes me look sideways at lefties too, okay? I get it. And he's like, I don't want people to think bad about us because these people had criminal ties. Not all Hispanic people are Chindeagua. Yeah, we get that. It's so divided. Like the fact that what he could have spoke upon what went wrong in that situation without crying over, and it's like people who are going to think about people, they're going to think that. And it doesn't matter. It's the damage that already been done. We had our town taken over by immigrants. It wasn't an increase in crime. Maybe like because of increase in people, it wasn't more so. They didn't bring crime with them. They just made life in general much more difficult, and they crowded that town. Traffic was worse. 50% of kids not speaking English in the school system. I'm talking about that. You're just making excuses for criminals that were screaming with law enforcement. A car is a weapon and he has a right to defend himself. Forrest, you can think that all you want. I don't think what she did warranted getting shot in the face. There's a line where it is okay, and I know for most people that is the self-defense. He put himself in front of the car. So, Deascent said it's illegal to impersonate a federal agent to Jade. Oh, unless you've been in their shoes, you can't make an honest statement about what I would do, monkey business. I understand that monkey business. I can honestly say I would never put myself in front of a moving car. Honestly, I can say that. I think that totally blows his argument out of the water that it was self-defense and it was a deadly weapon. She put herself in front of a deadly weapon. He put himself in front of a deadly weapon. They were both wrong. That's how I feel about it. I think if she wasn't there in the first place, none of this would have ever happened. Right, though, that's true, but doesn't mean that it is justifiable. Monkey business, forest monster, you're actually acting more like the criminal and that you want automatic retribution instead of due process. Josh, self-created life is great. I have no debt. The problem is I also have no credit score because of it, so it's been hard to get a mortgage with good income but no debt. Yes, Josh. And I don't know what your situation is. If you save enough, you have enough of a down payment, your credit score won't matter. It will a little bit, but you know what I mean? You just get a good down payment, buy something cheap. We bought 23 acres and I'm making a video about it. We sold it because we ran out of money. And one day we will take everything we learned and do it right, but I don't even need that much land. What do you think when police have interactions with people that have guns? Police are allowed to defend themselves in a car as a weapon. Forrest, I'm just going to keep saying the same thing. He put himself in front of the car. Okay. Wanting police officers to defend themselves and that does not make me a criminal, Forrest said. I just, I didn't say that it made you a criminal. Who said that, Forrest? Or did somebody else say that? No, I don't think it makes you a criminal, but I think that it makes you a little, I hate to keep using the term like, brainwashed is too harsh, biased towards one side that, like, no matter what the other side does, you know, DSN, I already know this. Are you insinuating my number is 36401? Thanks, Jade. Let's not bring Venezuela into this nonsense, Mickey business. They did defend themselves, so you got what you wanted, right? Barbara said, right. Amatiem, what we learn from the evidence depends on the kind of philosophy we bring to the evidence. That unquestioning loyalty to a political party or to law enforcement is totally blinding people. Very well said, Amatiem. It literally says make arrests in the law, Deascent said. Monkey business. A car is a deadly weapon. The legal definition of assault is one arm's distance and hostile. She used deadly force. He responded with the same. It's unfortunate, but it happens. Let's do we had no business invading a sovereign nation, Josh Shannon said. Yes, completely unprecedented. And we're not making ourselves look any better to the rest of the world either. Jade said, again, they have no authority on public streets. Peace. Oh, you're beautiful. Thank you, Jade. That's so sweet. Thank you so much. Forrest, so he can stand wherever he wants. These law enforcement. She doesn't get to hit him with a weapon, and then you say he doesn't get to defend himself. I didn't say he couldn't defend himself. I never said that he couldn't defend himself. In a situation that was warranted defending himself, of course. I think that so like the guy that got killed on New Year's Eve, off-duty ICE officer was in the apartment complex, heard a man shooting a gun off into the air like a lot of morons do on New Year's. It's a felony there because you could kill somebody. The bullets falling down could seriously injure or kill somebody or damage property. And so the ICE guy heard it, went out. We don't know details. There's no footage. There's no charge, not even a name released, like who the ICE agent was. But in my opinion, he probably walked out there with his gun drawn, and the guy that already had his gun pointed his gun back at him because, like, that's what most people would do. And it's like, it's just a scary situation. And anybody who is around, they're just living their lives just like Breonna Taylor, and that was like a no knock warrant. Yes, her boyfriend shot first, but it's just proof of like why it's so crazy to do these no-knock warrants. And then the people that commit the most crime, the people that do the worst of the worst, they get redacted. We have 10%, Josh said. Oh, that's awesome. Good for you, Josh. That is so awesome. I don't know where you're looking at, but like I don't know what your situation is. There's so many good properties in Kentucky. Can you say that when there are hundreds of potentially deadliest weapons and the angry protesters around them, these officers are in a vacuum and there was plenty of hostility around the monkey business? And I do understand that, monkey. I still don't think it justifies what happens. You know what I mean? I still don't. I don't. And he wasn't forced to be an ICE officer. The car wasn't moving. He was able to walk around it twice. Yes, Forrest. Right. That's what my point is. He put himself in front of it twice. Dude, how are you? I'm doing good, Homer. How are you? Where do you think it is a good place to buy land in 2026? Mason said. So Alexandra Fasulo just made a really good video on like the top, I forget what it was, like 5 or 7 states to homestead in. And then she didn't have Kentucky in the list, and I almost asked her why, but I can probably assume why. Michigan was one of them. I would look at that video. Alexandra also has a really good Substack that talks about how to finance land, get farmland without a USDA loan or whatever. It's harder to finance land than it is a home, but it's possible. The country and Alabama market is good. I'm working on the credit thing. I just hate having to get debt to get a mortgage. Yes, Josh, totally understand. But once you get in there, especially if you make more than the minimum payment, you go have it paid off. You seem like you'll be smart. You're not going to buy something that's going to be impossible to pay off in a 50-year mortgage. But yes, it's a number one way to climb up people. And when I see millionaires discouraging homeownership, it makes me want to scream. I know I brought this up already, but this guy, it was like under a Diary of a CEO podcast, I think, or it was under somebody's community tab post. And this guy was like, so and so, he's a millionaire investor. And he said, save up $100,000 before you buy a house. Live under a bridge if you have to. You need to save up 100,000 before you buy a house. I think that's agenda, whatever, 21, oh, nothing and be happy. Doing good. Thanks for asking. I was wondering when I would catch you live again. Oh, Homer, I'm glad you caught me. I don't know if you care, but I keep talking about this. Janus is an ancient deity. It was like around before Roman gods. There's no Greek god equivalent. I want to do an edited video on this. It's like a two-faced god. One's looking towards the future, one face looking towards the past. And I feel like there's something going on. The Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, is Janus rituals. And I didn't come up with this. Lovely TTV is a big YouTuber. He talked about it when the George Floyd stuff was going on. It's just like, what is going on in the Minneapolis? The fraud, and then this. It's like, yeah, I guess I don't believe in coincidences, guys. Sounds like Dave Ramsey. Oh, don't get me started on monkey business. I'm Dave Ramsey, monkey business. The people that call into, they don't, nobody that calls into a show. Actually, I think Alexandra was on Dave Ramsey recently. Somebody was like, was that you on Dave Ramsey? So there are good people that call in. I'm not saying they're not good people, but it's just like not real issues that real people go through. It's like, I have $200,000 saved up. Should I pay off my house or should I buy a rental house? And it's like, ugh. If you spend an extra 600 on your mortgage, you'll save over 100K on interest, Ascent said. Yes. Janus was a Roman god monkey business. And yeah, he's dated back. He's like one of the most ancient ones. And he symbolizes a change from peace to conflict. That's really interesting. And just new beginnings, endings. There's rituals. Usually he's like the first deity that is mentioned or I don't know, left something for. I don't want to say sacrifice. I forget the name of it. And that's where January comes from too, the beginning of the year, Janus. It is a Dave Ramsey idea. The $100,000 thing was a Dave Ramsey idea. See, that guy didn't say Dave Ramsey, it was somebody else. But yet that does sound like a Dave Ramsey idea. I just don't understand how anybody, what? Are you kidding me? Like, we all have to live somewhere, unless you live in a teepee on national parks and you have to move every week or two. And they're making that more difficult. They're making nomad life more difficult in a lot of places. And they're trying to make being homeless a crime when more people are going to be homeless than ever because it's simply unsustainable. You can't keep siphoning everything off of us that actually work. Depends on how much the rental house makes you. Yeah, Barbara, you can trade house similar to trading a car for different reasons. Barbara, that's a great idea. We do need to think outside the box more like that? Dave Ramsey has issues with debt, not wealth accumulation. Yes, monkey business. Right. His snowball plan. But it's had downsides too. I'm sure he's right, but my income is not high enough. No, the credit was a Dave Ramsey idea. Okay, Josh. Monkey, he was brought in when they want masculinize the feminine goddesses. Really? That's interesting. I want to, I was just, there's tons of videos already, but I wanted to make something talking about this and then tying it to Minneapolis, like Lily T did. Save 20% down so you don't have to buy mortgage insurance, Deascent said. Yes, that's a very good point, Deascent. Good point. If you have 20% down, you pay a lot less. It's called PMI, I think. You have to pay extra just in case you default on your mortgage. Once again, poorer people or people that aren't exuberantly wealthy get the shit into the stick, and life is more expensive for them in so many ways. He was brought in when they wanted. Oh, I already read that. Josh said, thanks for the advice. Just don't buy outside your means. Yeah, I think Josh has a good enough head on his shoulders to know to live beneath his means. Demeter and Persephone. This occurred when the Middle Eastern culture pushed into Rome during the period before Christ. That's really interesting, Monkey. Thank you for saying that. But yeah, I think it's important. Does it when people get really worked up, and I know I can get worked up over stuff too, but you know what I mean. When people are like truly, I think you guys can tell. I'm not gonna change my mind. I'm not gonna change other people's minds that like aren't already on the same path. It's just interesting to observe. And I mean, I used to watch a Twilight Zone religiously. This really is like we live in the Twilight Zone. I paid off my house 6 years ago. Good for you, Deascent. I ate top ramen and peanut butter and jelly. Good for you. I'm sure you're very glad you did that now. So now all you got is the property taxes. I hope those aren't too exorbitant wherever you live. Property taxes are very reasonable here. Monkey Business is smart, needs a channel. Josh said, yeah, I agree, Monkey Business. You should consider it. Romans adopted the ideas of the people they conquered. Do you have a theory on why Rome fell, Monkey Business? I'd be interested in what you'd say about that because I like to blame a lot of things on heavy metals, and lead isn't technically a heavy metal, but it's bad. Well, it was great to see you. Wish I could hang out for a bit, but I need to go get some groceries for the week. Oh, it was good to see you too, Homer. I hope you have a great week. Um, oh shit, what was I just bringing up? Okay. They put lead in their aqueducts, supposedly. And somebody, this always stuck with me. So you can see the difference. Actually, it was Camille Paglia. If you don't know who she is, she's a really interesting person. Was talking about like the dynamics between men and women in the 70s and shit. She's a really cool person. She considers herself like a masculine woman, and she said you can see it in their art. You can see when the men went from like strong, robust, muscular men to, this is what she said, to looking like wet noodles over slowly over time before Rome collapsed. And I always wondered if it had something to do with the lead. Um, oh, thank you. If you're talking to me, I love the way you smile easily. You have a great day too, Homer, if you're still in here. There's so much greed, Josh. It's like the this is the way I see it. Like most of us want the same thing, right? If I did have tons of money, I'm going to read Monkey Business. Rome fell because it's impossible to maintain such a culture and keep diversity. Monotheism destroyed Rome with Constantine when Constantine was creating the religion to keep from being killed by the random. Sounds like Ayn Rand. Worshippers of the followers of Zeus in Poseidon, Monkey Business said. Oh, Matthiam said sounds like Ayn Rand, just so anybody listening. Okay, that is really, really interesting. So, like, I feel like when you look at back at how people used to like, what do we want? We want the same thing. We want like a good home, good food, and like to be immersed in the beauty of nature. People that have a like expendable income, disposable is what I meant to say. What do they do more than us people that don't? They go on vacation more, they get to travel more, they get to eat better, they just have like nicer things. And whatever budget you're on, you can focus. Like, I do want to have a wardrobe that is hemp, bamboo, organic cotton by the time I'm like 40, maybe 45, like I would like to one of these years make it a point and silk. Silk is so expensive. I would love to have like a smaller wardrobe with nothing but natural fibers, and, that's something I would have already done if I was a rich bitch, but it is what it is. You can make these goals and you can attain these things without exorbitant wealth. Like where we live in South Central Kentucky, my husband said it one time, it's like we live in a calendar. And like To be in a beautiful place, that is a form of wealth. You know, we live in a double wide trailer. No, it's not the greatest house I've ever lived in, but it was the cheapest thing we could buy. And yes, if you take care of them, they have a good foundation, a good roof, it's not going to depreciate, or else everybody would be buying up the trailers, you know? It's just funny how people seem to think that they like depreciate when they don't. But that's what my goal is, and hopefully this channel will help reach that. I know because I am so centrist, like most people, I'm not gonna probably gain the followers that I could, but I also don't care so much about that. I think that it's more important to have people like in the community that are on the same path. That doesn't mean you think alike about everything. Safety, but those who trade freedom for safety get neither. I'm learning to sew myself. Josh, oh, that's so cool. I have my sewing machine right beside me, and I want to make so many things, but I have this fabric. It's silver RFID fabric that blocks. I want to make like pockets to just like stick our phones in because I'm not good about putting my phone on airplane mode. I used to be. Constantine spent his life trying nearly every religion under the sun. Toward the end, he was being pressured to choose a side, which he knew meant death. So he created a new state religion in the fashion of Sol Invictus, was acceptable to the Romans, but named his deity Jesus. Oh, it's so interesting. It's like history hour with monkey business. And thus, the Council of Nicaragua was formed. Nicaea. Nicaea is how you say that, right? I know I've heard of that. I'm looking into double white on foundation. Josh said, yes, good. Just like I still think it was a little overpriced, but everything is, you know what I mean? We sold a brick ranch, our first home. And I almost feel bad about the amount of money we made off of that, honestly, and that's how we moved down here, and, like, it's just crazy, and so for, like, that few weeks having, like, a bunch of money in the bank account and, like, living in hotels and looking for a property, and I'm like, "This is how, like, so many people live." It was, like, a different life, not worrying about money, not worrying about how you're gonna pay the bills is it makes people different, and that makes me sad for people. You have a great day, sweetheart. Keep in mind there's nothing to be said about for not having been there in the first place, and none of this would have happened. With that in mind, I can blame her. I understand where you're coming from, and thank you. I hope you have a great day too. Linen has the correct frequency for the human machine. The metal whisper, that's so interesting. I love linen. That's so funny you said that because I'm really drawn to linen. It's just so many things are blends anymore, and that's like I don't know why they blend it. Probably for good reasons. Itchy stuff often, I feel like. Sounds like some Dan Brown misinfo on a team. Well, I'm sure a lot of that stuff would be easily verifiable. Good for you guys. That was smart, Josh said. Monkey business. We wanted more land, so we sold the house, got the 23 acres, converted a shed. I will show you guys that. Sold the shed because we just couldn't afford the solar to get air conditioning. This was a few summers ago, and it was like ungodly hot. And anyways, my older sons were living with my mom. I didn't want to spend more time away from them. We're just like, let's sell this place. Barely profited, and we didn't have to pay capital gains tax, because if you sell a property you had less than 2 years as a residence anyway, you have to pay extra on it, and, like, if we would've made any more, we would've had to pay, like, so much in taxes, it wouldn't have made a difference. So it's just kinda funny how that worked out. It really did work out after, like, the insulation, drywall, and, everything else we put into it. It was, like, literally in this, like, small little threshold, and yeah. I hate realtors, Josh. If you're working with you probably aren't working with one yet. Don't sign an agreement to stay. I would heavily consider not signing an agreement that's like, I will only work with you. You're the only realtor I'll work with. Because honestly, I've never said this story before, but the single wide came up for sale after we put an offer in this that we could have been completely debt free in. I really wanted that. It was on another acre. And I was like, can we go look at that? We could have pulled out of this as long as the people don't decide to come after you. And I don't think they would have. And my bitch ass realtor refused to show me the single wide. That happened. So that's another reason I hate realtors. We could be completely debt free right now if it wasn't for that man. But I also think like everything happens for a reason. So like we would have had less space. It was a two-bedroom, I believe. We would have made it work. We could have put another little shed cabin on it. Bro, no, it wasn't. And that property wouldn't have been the neighborhood it was in, it wouldn't have been worth I don't think it would have appreciated, but at the same time, we would have put more structures on it anyway. Bro, no, it wasn't. The Council of Nicaea was called to address Arianism, had nothing to do with the canonization of the Bible. That was a council of Carthage. You're regurgitating BS, Amateum said. Well, both of you guys know more than me. I was taught about like I was in gifted and talented, believe it or not. And in that class, we learned more about like Roman and Greek history and like the goddesses and gods than I ever did. We read the fucking the Odyssey. My son just read that in like ninth grade. I am, but I kept myself open line you're talking about. Okay, Josh, good. That's good. Arianism is a form of Christianity, as is Catharsism. Both came from the idea that Christ had a daughter and that the Virgin Mary was a true deity. I was a gate kid as well. We learned calculus in the first grade. Oh, you said the okay, I heard. Did you have those headphones? I saw this video where people were talking about how they think it might have been an operation to find psychic children. And I went to school kindergarten, 1st grade on a university campus. I don't remember this. I remember, like, going into a computer lab and putting headphones on. I don't re and they were, like, doing, like, psychic testing. It's just funny, and people were calling it now, I was reading gate was something like in 1st grade. It was, like, 4th and 5th grade, and our school system was, like, gifted and talented. Um, Moms taught me not to sign that contract. Oh, it sounds like you have a good mom, Josh. I personally and, feel free, I don't know how much you know about the recent lawsuit. It used to be like 3%, 6% total for the commission of realtors. And like, with all this rush, like people realize they get too much money. I'm sorry they do. They get paid too much. Yeah, title companies are going to take care of everything for you. A realtor isn't really, unless you have a big budget. This is what I feel like. When we went to buy our land, which was well under $100,000, they literally so much footwork. No, hardly half the people I called didn't call me back. A lot of realtors, we went to see a piece of land where this woman realtor literally didn't know where it was. She's like, it's like here somewhere. I don't know where it is. So many realtors, when it comes to selling land, if you're selling land, oh my gosh, like they suck so bad. It almost made me want to become a realtor and try to like specialize in like off-grid situations. There has to be so many people buying land and sight unseen here too. Well, like they told us there's like a lot of people, a lot of rich people from like California that have like a plan B. That they don't realize it's literally like a hillside that's nothing but rocks. Because there's a lot of arable farmland here. There's also a lot that's like nothing but rocks, we're at the foothills of Appalachian Mountains. Gates, gifted and talented education. Oh, the acronym. Okay, that makes sense. They were talking about the specific thing that was just I don't know, it wasn't an all-day thing. They took certain kids to the computer lab and had them do these tests on the computer. That was super creepy to me. I was on gifted program in DoD school, 7th to 8th grade, Mason said. Realtor didn't show up when we looked at a house yesterday, Josh said. I think they're a little spoiled too, you know? And the realtor, he told me we were the most normal people he had worked with in a long time. I was like, that's kind of mean. And we were a little, talking about like going from our non-air conditioned off-grid house. I don't know in what world that's normal, but I guess maybe in Kentucky. I think it's probably part of a recruiting mechanism for intelligence agencies, probably OMTM. Josh, I'm at the very foothills of those same mountains in North Alabama. Cool. I love them. If Eastern Kentucky wasn't, I have a YouTube friend, Diamond in the Sticks. She lives in Eastern Kentucky, and she's even said this too. That is where there seems to be a lot of racists, a lot of the bad hillbillies. Not all hillbillies are bad, but the mean hillbillies that are like, you ain't from around here, and like will shoot their gun off while you're walking from your car after work to your house. Happened to me. They pulled me out because I had a high IQ and was good at test monkey business said. Josh, I think it might be Kentucky is beautiful. Yes. And I would love to go visit Eastern Kentucky, but unfortunately, and that's where land is so cheap. Or maybe from what I gather, and I could be wrong about this, if you're at like northeast Kentucky seems to be a sweet spot. Yeah, there's nothing going on. But I mean, like really cheap land, beautiful by West Virginia. I've asked several truckers who have been in all 48 contiguous states in the United States what the most beautiful state they drove through was. Literally, I forget, only one said something other than West Virginia, and I forget what he said, but most of them say West Virginia. I just think that's so neat. It really is special. It's so beautiful. Um, those people are the original Scottish who want to be left alone. Monkey business, yeah, a lot of them are very Scottish. There's lots of very tall men with husky blue eyes. I just romanticized that a little bit. It's really not that great. Okay, you guys, it was fun talking to you. I always tell myself I'm gonna catch up on edited content. I'm like wasting time editing stuff I don't upload. I just know it's not like it's subpar shit. I need to get better at editing. So, any of you new subs, if you see me upload, I really appreciate all the help I can get. Because, like, you see the views I get on my lives. If I could get those kind of views on my edited videos, I would be buying a single wide and helping a family. We have an electric meter, an extra electric pole, and an extra water meter here on this property. If I had more money, and this is why I feel like I got monetized. I did. I told God, I told the universe, I'm like, please, if you give me the blessing of a monetized channel, which I feel so dumb because like I'm so lucky to be monetized, but I don't make that much money because my edited videos don't get. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like lives, you make like 1 cent per thousand views. Like seriously, you have 44,000 views and you make like half a dollar. But it's cool. But, yeah, there's where this came from. I think that we're going through some, like, rapid changes, and I really do feel like the things I'm getting ready to make content about, growing food, gardening, investing, and all that. I'm great at editing the Cast. I need your help. Your edited videos need content to them. That's all. Pick a theme and run with it. Yeah, monkey business, you're right. One of my issues is being too all over the place, and I should have two channels. I do have a second one, but like just a backup one. I need to focus on something, and that's why I want to focus on homesteading and anyways, but still tie it into like social and political issues because it is stay healthy. Amatim said, whatever you need help with. The Dias Cast, you need to email me, remember? If you wanted to do a live together, I'm not trying to make you, but email me and then we can talk about that too. Enhance your calm, Jane Spartan, Monkey Business said. Have a good day. You got any fan liked and said, I'll watch some videos in a bit. Thank you so much. Love you guys. I really do. I love you all.